Well, we'd like to welcome Representative Zoe Zephyr, herself banned from the Montana House floor by her Republican peers. Representative, thank you so much for being here and voicing your opinion. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me today.
It's great to have you. So you've called this ban a reminder that this legislature is removing 11,000 Montanans from discussion on every bill going forward. Now, while this does bar you from the floor, you are still allowed to vote. Would you mind explaining your biggest concerns moving forward?
So the legislature, when Montanans elect people, they don't just elect people to press a yes button or a no button. They elect us to have the hard conversations on the House floor, debates that have been going on for as long as the legislative body has existed, as long as this country has existed. And so when you disallow a member to partake in that debate, you're removing the voice of 11,000 Montanans to be able to be heard in the debates on the House floor.
I hear your point. I think that's fair. So we spoke with your colleague last night on the other side of the aisle, Representative David Beatty, who says this move was about maintaining decorum in order to get business done. Here's what he had to say.
The actions taken relative to Representative Zephyr's conduct had from my perspective, had nothing to do with the substance of Senate Bill 99, which is the bill that had to do with banning certain gender-affirming procedures, such as surgical procedures, on minors. Rather, it had to do with whether or not representatives, members of our body, can participate on the floor and essentially incite the behavior of demonstrators in the gallery. When Representative Zephyr did that, she crossed a line that I think is important it not be crossed.
Agree with those principles of maintaining decorum. What's your response to what he had to say?
You know, when you disallow a representative to speak, as I previously said, you are removing 11,000 constituents' voices from the democratic process, which there is nothing more fundamental to our country than that our citizens elect representatives to be heard on the House floor. So in my mind, it is no surprise that Montanans from my district, Montanans who care deeply about democracy, showed up to the People's House to watch, much like in previous years. Union members have showed up when anti-union bills have come forward, and they have watched, and they have tried to hold the legislative body accountable. And in this instance, when the body refused to let me as a duly elected representative speak, the people in the House stood up peacefully and chanted, "Let her speak." And when they did so, they were asking, "Let democracy function." And when I stood in the center of that House floor and raised my microphone, I was showing solidarity with them, that I understood what they were asking for, that democracy functions, and I understand that that is something we should be caring deeply about in our state.
Do you think there's a line there? And I guess this is the heart of the interview. Is there a line where it becomes unproductive if there's chaos versus maintaining order? Do you believe there's more to this, more behind this move?
I believe that when you have something as fundamental as the core principles of our country at stake, when elected officials are not allowed to partake in debate on the House floor, that constituents come to have their voices heard, to demand that their representative be allowed to speak. It's important that those moments remain peaceful, but insistent. And I think that is what we saw from the demonstrators in the Capitol. They stood and they chanted, "Let her speak." And when I raised my microphone in solidarity with them, we are standing for things in this country that need to be stood for.
I think the undertones are that what you're standing for is being silenced. Would you agree with that or disagree? I think there are some people who say this wasn't about the message, it was about the way it was presented. What is your reaction?
So when I spoke on Senate Bill 99, initially the majority leader stood up and objected and said, I don't like that you said X, that there's blood on our hands. That's inappropriate. Much like we have stood up when we have had disagreements about things the other side have said about us, people who have insinuated that my existence is somehow a threat to children, people who have said that the solution to like our impoverished community members, our veterans being found homeless was to buy bus tickets and move them out of the state. We've objected to that language and then moved on. But when you go from that objection to disallowing any discussion going forward, that is, in my mind, where you have torn down the very fabric of democracy this country is built upon. And that demands action.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.